this is Gilbert Gottfried, and I think this is Gilbert and Frank's compulsive, obsessive compulsive behavior.
No, that's something else.
This is how we keep switching the light switch.
Washing your hands a lot.
Counting to 7 and then switching it back on. It's our obsessive compulsive behavior.
I like that title better.
Yes. I take off the cap of the milk bottle with my left hand and put it in my right pocket. Show me the blueprint. Show me the blueprint.
We're going to get emails now.
Yes.
We're going to get emails and calls. Amazing colossal obsessions.
Yes.
Sir.
Oh, that's it.
Yay.
That was going to be my second guess.
And what, pray tell, is your movie pick for this week?
Well, I had to try extra hard to stay away from recommending a comedy.
Which you're just doing to piss off our listeners at this point.
I'm going to start naming dramas I absolutely hated. Just
a bunch of people.
Now, surprisingly, this week, the movie I'm recommending does not have a Nazi in it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a breakthrough in itself. Because you did The Pawnbroker, The Boys from Brazil, and, okay.
Yeah.
Nazi-free.
Yes.
This is progress.
I drink Nazi-free Coca-Cola. It's sugar-free and Nazi-free. As opposed to when Coca-Cola puts out their product in Germany, and then it's now with extra Nazi.
So this would not be the soda recommended by Dr. Zell.
No.
You guys can figure that reference out for yourselves.
Okay. This is a very strange recommendation because I don't follow sports whatsoever, and I don't know a thing about sports.
That's right.
I just know that baseball players have very odd names.
Really?
Yeah. Now there's who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on
That's
third.
what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah.
The names of the players on the St. Louis team. Now, you know some sports movies. We've talked about the Babe Ruth story.
Yes, okay. I know about sports from movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that Anthony Perkins used to play baseball.
Fear Strikes Out.
Yeah,
right.
and he went nuts.
That's right.
And then he decided to go into acting.
Right. Okay. So you're not completely ignorant on
and
the
I
topic.
know William Bendix was supposedly a great ball player.
That Babe Ruth story.
Yes.
It's a terrible movie.
So the movie that I liked was it was remade from a TV production starring Paul Newman and George Papard, and that's I'm already forgetting the name of the movie. This is Hollywood Babylon. Gilbert Gottfried started slipping at this point. No, it was Bang the Drum Slowly.
Oh,
with
very good.
Robert De Niro and Michael Moriarty.
I didn't know that started as a Paul Newman.
Yes, I saw it.
No idea.
Paul Newman played the Robert De Niro part.
No idea.
Of a baseball player who's not too bright.
Right.
And also finds out he's dying.
Right.
And it was made then into a movie with Robert De Niro, Michael Moriarty, and I think also our pal Danny Aiello is in it.
I think Vincent Gardenia's in it somewhere.
Vincent Gardenia from Death Wish.
Right, and All in the Family.
Yes.
Right.
And, Marshall Brickman, who used to be a humorist or whatever.
Well, sure, he co-wrote Annie Hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that movie was it's a very sad film.
Yes, young De Niro.
Yeah, and back when De Niro was when you'd say, oh, wow, a De Niro film
Right.
is coming out.
And didn't Aiello tell us that he had to teach, or somebody had to teach De Niro? It was a lot of man hours teaching him how to throw a baseball,
Yeah,
how to swing a bat.
I mean, of course, with Danny.
You don't know if it actually happened. You grade the story on a Danny Aiello curve.
Yeah, Danny was teaching Laurence Olivier how to act.
Right.
Baryshnikov how to dance.
He taught Patty Duke how to play Helen Keller, I think.
And I think Joe Franklin had John Barrymore
Yes.
and Henny Youngman
On the same show. John Barrymore and Drew Barrymore. He had them on the same show, which is really impressive. So Bang the Drum Slowly.
Yes, and I remember. Well, the music, it doesn't have a song. They do have that song, Streets of Laredo.
Yep.
That while riding one morning, I met a young cowboy. And then there was the theme music was dee, diddy, diddy, dee, diddy. Dee, diddy, diddy, dee, dee.
You amaze me.
Diddy, diddy, dee, diddy, 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 dee. And there's a part where the ball players are asked to go on the show and perform a musical number. And
I remember this.
I remember the musical number.
Wow.
Please excuse my tears, 'cause I've been on the road to tribulation, and I find no consolation here. What good is a love song if the words are secondhand? They don't belong to anyone I can get near. And 'cause I live on the outside of your joys and laughter. You gave me a good time, but I can't come after. All is said and done. Yeah, I'm not the one you really took me for, and so you better look before you leap. So you better look before you weep.
Incredible. Oh, I thought I was listening to Victor Moan.
Oh, and I'll just say one more part of the movie where they're talking about De Niro's character dying. And one of the characters says to Michael Moriarty, she says, she or he says to, knowing he's going to die, why isn't he out just partying and celebrating every night? And Michael Moriarty says, well, I don't know why. I don't know why we're all not doing that.
Oh, it's poignant.
Yeah.
It's sort of a little bit like a baseball equivalent of Brian's song.
Yes.
Which came out not too long after. Or around the same time.
Also, a sports figure dying.
Right. But you amaze me. It's funny that you don't play a musical instrument because you are very musical, and especially Dara's here and she's nodding in agreement. And he sings these songs, and you have to be the only person walking around on the planet that remembers all the words to a musical number in Bang the Drum Slowly, and the theme song and every word of it from The Lords of Flatbush, which he sang to Henry Winkler.
Yeah. Hey, what do you say?
It's incredible.
Looks like it's gonna be a very fine day.
You never cease to astound me. Well, I'm going to stop you in your tracks because there's no theme song from this movie. This is a movie, a Jack the Ripper picture, one of two that I'm going to recommend. I'm going to save one till next week and let people guess what it is. But this is called Murder by Decree. It's a Sherlock Holmes movie made in 1979. You're nodding. I know you know the movie.
Yes.
And 1979, by the way, excuse me, doing a little research, a pretty damn good year for American movies. Apocalypse Now, Hair, Breaking Away, Alien, all that jazz, Kramer versus Kramer. It was a good year. And this movie, a Holmes picture that's very smart, a different kind of Holmes picture. It's a little bit dark and harsh. Somebody called it like a Hammer film, like if Hammer made a Holmes film, and I agreed with that. It's one of the best Holmes pictures made. Christopher Plummer plays Holmes. James Mason plays Watson, and he's a funny Watson.
Yeah,
He's not quite a bumbling Watson like Nigel Bruce.
I remember. Nigel Bruce is still my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
Even though, like, anyone who's read a Sherlock Holmes book, which doesn't include me,
Right.
I wouldn't.
You were reading A Study in Scarlet when I walked in here. What are you talking about?
To me, Sherlock Holmes and Watson's Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce.
To most people. Yeah.
But I remember in the movie, because I remember Nigel Bruce used to be like the bumbling Watson.
He was. Yes. He was the comic relief.
But I remember James Mason in here has a scene, and I saw this years ago.
Uh-huh.
He has a scene
The
where
peas.
he's trying
to eat a pea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then finally Sherlock Holmes takes his fork and smashes his peas.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You smashed my peas. I was eating those peas and you smashed them."
It's brilliant. That's exactly the scene. That scene stayed with me, too, because it's a great comic moment for Mason. It's got a great cast. Genevieve, we were talking about Genevieve Bujold. It's my wife's name. I should be able to pronounce it. Donald Sutherland.
This is
sad, right?
This is gonna cause a lot of trouble when you get home tonight.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. David Hemmings, the British actor from Blow Up, and John Gielgud. Susan Clark, who people knew, she played, speaking of sports movies you didn't watch, she played Babe Didrikson Zaharias in Babe. And she was the star of Webster. She was married to Alex Karras.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Susan Clark, who was the director's sister. Bob Clark, this is relevant. Bob Clark, who was known for Porky's movies, directed this picture. And it's a wonderful movie. Check it out if you're a Holmes fan, if you're not a Holmes fan. It was released around the time, a little later, at the end of the 70s, but two other memorable Holmes movies that I want to mention from the 70s is Billy Wilder's Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, and one I know you know, The 7% Solution.
With Alan Arkin.
Right, with
one
Alan.
of our favorites.
Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin, and was it
Nicole Williamson? Nicole Williamson,
yes.
Right, who has a little part in The Goodbye Girl.
Yeah, Alan Arkin plays Freud.
He does.
In that.
Yes.
It's where Sherlock Holmes meets Freud.
Right, so what the hell, we'll recommend all three. Private Life of Sherlock Holmes and The 7% Solution, which is great, but really watch Murder by Decree, which is a great Holmes picture. Smart and satisfying, and it's also about Jack the Ripper.
And oh yes, with Malcolm McDowell.
Well, that's a second movie that we'll talk about next week.
Yes, okay, and Bang the Drum Slowly.
And Bang the Drum Slowly. You want to take us out on a little bit of the... Who sings, by the way? De Niro doesn't sing in the movie.
De Niro and all the other... Well, it's supposed to be funny.
Right.
That they're bald players
that
are thrown on a show to start singing because they're like...
Right.
And Joe De Niro's there, and it's supposed to... And he is singing off-key, and his dance steps are out of step with the other.
I've got to watch this. I love it when you sing.
Please excuse my tears, but I've been on the road to tribulation, and I find no consolation here.
That's so musical.